Gracie?
Thank you. Hello, Nashville. Can everybody in the back hear me? Awesome. So my Fitbit told me that as I got lost 3 times trying to find this room yesterday, I hit my step goal by noon. And then Dr. Chopra told me today that if I had just visualized that exercise, the neurons in my brain would have been firing. Who knew, right? Right. But I'm really glad that you're all here. It's really exciting to see this room full, and I heard that this conference sold out almost immediately, which is phenomenal. I've never been to this part of the country, and I hear that my accent is completely different than all of you guys. You guys talk different. So thank you so much for having me. We are going to talk about this funny little thing called acceptance. So first of all, I have nothing to disclose. No one paid me to be here. I'm here of my own free will. It's my honor to be here. And I have a lot of opinions, and they're all my own. So that's me. Those are not staged. I injured both of my wrists kickboxing at the gym, and I had to go through a series of 4 different wrist surgeries. During one of them, they slipped with that little needle in my shoulder and damaged some nerves in my right arm, and CRPS was the result. That was almost 8 years ago, and 1 year ago I had a spread to the other arm. So I have CRPS type 1 and type 2 in both arms now, and I have a whole lot of other diagnoses too, which I'm sure many of you do as well, but that's the one we're here to talk about today. So at that point, I traded in those sexy pink gloves for orange ones, and I'm now a different kind of fighter. So before we move on, I would like you to raise your hands if you actually have CRPS, please. That's the majority of you in the room. And if you're a caretaker or you gave somebody a ride here today, you're a rock star. Thank you very much for that. That's awesome. And if you've never met anybody, I know you raised your hand earlier, but could you please put your hands up again if you've never met anybody with CRPS until today? 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 people. Now you have. Make sure, I see one of you already introduced yourself to me. Make sure you take the time to talk to some people around you, because support is essential. It's not preferred, it's not desired, it's absolutely essential. So what did I do when I was first diagnosed? Cried a lot, because like Omega, they gave me this title, but nobody could tell me what it was. I had no idea what it was, but I am an engineer by trade, which means I'm a nerd. So I went home and Googled it, and I saw this word called incurable, right? Incurable. I didn't see any solutions. So I dug into my computer and started doing research, and I lived in Iowa at the time, and there weren't really any specialists around me. Nobody could tell me what was happening. I dove into my computer, and I found statistics like this. Look at those statistics. Now that's not specific to CRPS, but that is specific to chronic pain. There are far more people with chronic pain in this country than there are diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Is this still working? You good? Okay. Which meant there had to be other people out there like me. So I started looking for them in my computer. Creating support groups, finding support groups, collecting people like myself. Where do I go to try and tackle this? So I went on my first support call, and it was hard to do because I'm very proud, much like all of you, I'm sure. How do I go to a support call? What do I do? What do I say? Well, my name's Gracie, and I have CRPS. And I felt really stupid, incredibly stupid. But that was exactly what I did. And one of the very first things they told me, well, you're gonna have to just learn how to accept this. I learned about the 5 stages of grief, which you can find absolutely anywhere on the internet. Okay, so You're going to go through some denial, some anger, some depression, some bargaining, and then you're going to reach this big gold star called acceptance. Well, through engineering, I'm very goal-oriented. I like things to be black and white. I like to see that set path right ahead of me. Okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to get there? I'm not in denial. I know I've got it. It's not going to go anywhere. I have to learn to deal with it. I was pretty mad for a little while. I wanted to sue everybody involved. That wasn't going to work. I wasn't really depressed, and I wasn't really going to be able to bargain with anybody about it. All right, am I there? I didn't think so. I wasn't going to accept it. This has been my experience. I didn't see any circle. Where was this 5-stage circle, 5-stage chart? I kind of thought it was a bunch of crap. This has been my experience with this 5-stage grief cycle. I don't know if you can follow those lines, but to me, it seems like life happens. Different events happen, and you circle back around, you loop back around, you swirl around, and this is how it happens. This is how it should really look. And there's no gold star there. Can you find the gold star? I don't see the gold star. I don't know where that acceptance is. Because the world of CRPS isn't black and white. We don't live in the black and white anymore. Nobody can come to you, not even me, not any of the phenomenal doctors here. None of the doctors here said to you, I have the solution. I can fix this for you. These are the steps you need to take. It doesn't exist. If you're living with CRPS, you're living in the world of gray. And it's the same thing with acceptance. You have to find your way around, and it's probably going to look like this. So how do I get to acceptance? Do I just stop fighting? What do? How do I find that gold star? Can anybody in here tell me what they think acceptance is? It's not an easy answer, is it? I'm going to tell you, I host support calls every week, every Wednesday, and it's one of the questions I get the most, which is why I chose this subject. Jim gave me a blank slate and said, talk about whatever you want. And I chose this because people ask me this all the time. How do I get to that point? I feel like I'm not doing okay because I haven't accepted this yet. I'm not there. How do I get there? And I always say to them, well, what do you think it is? What do you feel like acceptance is? And no one knows that answer. Accepting chronic pain does not mean giving in, and it doesn't mean that you have to stop looking for treatment. It does not mean accepting a lifetime of suffering. It does not mean that you're never going to be allowed to be angry or sad. And it does not mean that you have to give up hope for the future. That's a quote from Julie Martin. She's a columnist for National Pain Report. Accepting chronic pain does mean learning to live again. It also means advocating for ourselves and our health so that we can be as healthy as possible. It also means learning our limits and learning to cope with the feelings of guilt when we have to say no. And you do need to learn to say no. I used to have one of those signs right across my forehead that said, ask me to volunteer because I'm going to say yes. Yeah, who else is like that? Probably most of the ladies in the room? Yeah. So you have to learn to say no. And accepting chronic pain means being able to look at your diagnosis as something that you have, not who you are. I am not my pain, and you're not either. It can affect what you do, but it cannot affect who you are. Your condition does not define you. This is a quote from Michael J. Fox. I can't even remember how long ago he had this out, but I've seen it for years and years and years, and I just love it. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means understanding that something is what it is and that there's got to be a way through it. And I love that because I know that this disease lives in my body for now, but that's not going to stop me from doing the things that I want to do or that I need to do. I just have to make accommodations. I have to find a way around it, find a way over it, find a way through it. But I'm going to find a way to do it. We're here today, aren't we? We all had to walk like 5 miles to get to this room. But we're here, aren't we? Because it was important to us. We found a way to do it. It didn't stop us. Right? So you find a way to do it. It's not the end of the world. It's not a life sentence. It's not a death sentence. It's a life sentence. It's not a death sentence. You find a way to do it. So what is acceptance to me? It's a journey. It's not a big gold star. It's not a destination. It's a journey. It's not that black and white. It's gray. You find your way there. You make accommodations, and you get there. It's a journey. So enjoy the journey. You don't need to stay home on your couch. You don't need to feel sorry for yourself. We're not victims. We're survivors. So enjoy the journey. Thank you very much.